is rebel. One nation is rebel. One nation is rebel. One nation is rebel. One nation. There's only one person with the young boy. You gotta get on this second thing you wanna do now. You show the beauty out of every single power. And everybody else wanted me to the river. And he chose the special people. So they transform into another people. And they shift them all around the world. Now it's my second all around the world.
Shabbat shalom, faithful family. Shabbat shalom to all the people out of YouTube. Shabbat shalom, better day. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to week 36 of the manifestation of the so-called black man, of the so-called African American man. This afternoon, we'd like to give all praise and honor and glory to Ahaya Bahashem Yeshaya, precious Ruach. And for those you're not familiar with the Hebrew, that is all praise unto the Most High, in the name of Christ, as well as the Holy Spirit. Once again, we'd like to welcome each and every one of you to week 36 of the manifestation of the so-called black man, of the so-called African American man, who is from the tribe of Judah for the nation of Israel. We want to thank each and every one of you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We know you could have been anywhere in the world, so due to the fact that you decided to join us, we do not take your time for granted. We're going to be going to the Hebrew Credo. It's going to be found in Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter, verse 4. and then we're going to get started for today. Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya, Allah Hayana wa Ahaya Kad. Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya, Allah Hayana wa Ahaya Kad. Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya, Allah Hayana wa Ahaya Kad. Hear, O Israel.
Hear, O Israel.
The Lord our Yah is one.
The Lord our Yah is one.
Once again, for those who are not familiar with the Hebrew, we can find that in Deuteronomy 6th chapter, verse 4. It says, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our Elohim is one. Holy Spirit, for the Lord of Jesus Christ, and the Father is one God. All right? One Elohim. Now, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. This week has been a tiresome roller coaster. But we're here today to do the work of the Most High. We're not going to weigh your patience here today because we're terribly behind. But we do have a word for the people that I believe is a timely word for the scenarios in which we're facing. A lot of our people have convinced themselves that the problems that they have, the obstacles that they have, the enemy that they have is an external one, which means that it's someone else. That there's a boogeyman, that there's a system designed to destroy you. And there is some truth to this, but in the season that we are in today, as we are upon the rising of our nation, the only obstacle that we have today is ourselves. It's going to be based on our level of understanding, our level of obedience, our level of putting ourselves in a position to be blessed. If you work for a company and they have promotion opportunities, those promotion opportunities are usually accessible or available to all those who work in the company. But it's up to that person to meet the qualifications, to do the necessary legwork in order to bring that to pass. And through the religion of Christianity, a lot of our people have got used to this name it and claim it, or I'm a speak it into my life, or I know that I'm gonna praise my way in, or all of these soliloquies that we were taught in the Christian church. And now, even though we may know that we Israel, we still bring a lot of those things into it. And you must understand that these things are only just saying, they're only soliloquies. That's not the Bible. So today's lesson is entitled, Anything Weighted Down Can Never Rise. Anything weighted down can never rise. Meaning, ladies and gentlemen, that if you do not remove the things that are in your life, you will never get to the point where you can rise above the obstacles that are set by the enemy. So I need you to start. Let's start today. Let's go with Hebrews the 12th chapter. I need you to hold that and get Ephesians 6. No, that's not what we said. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. You know how this, you've been on this roller coaster before. Because I already have a book. Oh, Joe. You know how this goes. So let's go to Hebrews the 12th chapter. I need you to hold that and get Ephesians 6. Anything weighted down can never rise. Some of you have went from being a victim to a victim's advocate. From being sick unto a prayer warrior. Some of you were requiring help, and now you have transitioned into those who are offering help and assistance in your community. Your struggle and your suffering was the talk of the town. Yet, for some reason or another, your help in getting other people out of struggles is often going unmentioned. It's kind of funny, right? Well, people can talk about you in the dirt, but they don't have any conversation or anything to say about you getting dirt off others. And these things are part of the weight that are on our people because they work so hard to get the sin out of their life, and especially Israel now reestablishing ourselves with the law. But it's the eternal wounds, the eternal bleeding of our soul that has went either unnoticed or unaddressed. And these things are just as much as weight as anything else. Some of you have asked yourself, why don't I have any lasting relationships? Why do people always have problems with me? Why am I always finding myself connecting to the same type of people? Well, oftentimes, ladies and gentlemen, they say birds of a feather flock together. But some of you might think you are a pretty little cardinal, but you actually are something else. And you haven't realized the transformation that you went through all the pain and the suffering that you've had to deal with. So I don't want you to take this lesson today as something, a malicious thing that you got to take care of. I want you to do this as a form of self-examination and saying, what do I see when I look in the mirror? And what part is that playing in me believing and receiving what the Most High has for me? I think all these things are going to be very vital for us to obtain what the Most High has for us today. Some of us scream loud, I'm an Israelite, I'm chosen, but you still see yourself through the eyes of America. You still believe that people can control you and stop you. Let's see about what the scriptures say as far as that. Shabbat shalom, Ladon. Good seeing you on today. Hebrews 12 chapter. Let's start at verse 1.
Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as being the so-called black man, the so-called African American man, for many years, we have looked to leaders and to people in this country as the examples of what we need to be. And that's not to say that they didn't have particular attributes that we should acquire and should use. But at the end of the day, if they're not keeping law, statute, commandments, if they're not submitted to a Hamashiach for the world not to be Christ, they cannot be an example in which we can follow. This is as simple as that. The cloud of witnesses in which we must establish our life off and look to for example are those who are listed in Hebrews 11 chapter. This is what Paul is talking about. Those who operated in faith, no matter what they were dealing with, no matter what they faced, no matter if they actually got what they was searching for or fighting for, they never stopped. These are the cloud of witnesses in which he's talking about. Go ahead, D.
Let us lay aside every weight.
So that means now, because we see what they did, we see what they removed from their life, we got to do what?
Let us lay aside every weight.
Every weight.
And the sin.
So notice that he's saying here that there's some things in your life that are not sin. You're not breaking Torah. You're not off. You're not wrong, but it's wrong for you. So you can't look at somebody else and say, well, this person drinks. Why can't I drink? Well, you have a problem because you can't stop at one glass of wine. You got to have 2 bottles. And every time you have that first bottle, you start acting different. You don't know how to control yourself. You can't talk about what this other brother can do or what this other sister can do. That is not you. You can't talk about the fact that, well, this person does this on social media. Why can't I? You are not that person. You can't handle that. Well, she can eat all this food and she never gains weight. I'm sorry, you don't have the same metabolism. Don't you just want to just choke the life out of some of these little people that can sit down at the table and just eat like you, and you just walk by the table and gain weight? You just walk past the table, 5 pounds, just walk past it. That's all you did was walk past it. But that's just what it is. So there's some things, ladies and gentlemen, in our lives that we're going to have to lay aside that you can't find here in the law. And what I have found is that people are constantly looking for gray areas. They're trying to see, what can I do and still make it to heaven? Like, why would you ask that? So if I do this, God gonna send me to hell. Why would you ask the question like that? And we really appreciated what the Most High would do. We would actually address it as, what can I do to ensure heaven? What can I remove from my life to pay him or to honor him for having the kingdom for me? Right? Go ahead.
And the sin which doth easily beset us.
So there's something, ladies and gentlemen, that are in our lives that is holding us back. It's there, and we must make acknowledgement of it. That it's easily besetting us. Go ahead.
And let us run with patience.
And let us run with patience. Ladies and gentlemen, you did not get to where you did overnight. And the idea that one walk down the aisle of a church is going to cancel everything you did in life is madness. It's pure madness, but that's what we were talking. Just come down the aisle and everything's over. That's pure madness. All of the mess you've done for 30, 40 years, and you think just get up on a pew, walk down the aisle, and that cancels everything. Oh, my Lord. Do you realize, ladies and gentlemen, that just waking up is the beginning? What will be accomplished in your day just by waking up? If you never get up. If you never do nothing. How much of a blessing is waking up if you never get up? I mean, you can easily wake up every day, lay there, and eventually go back to sleep. And that's what a lot of people are doing from a spiritual perspective. They're awake, they woke. They can point out certain things when they see on the TV. They can say this, I see this, and they got this conspiracy theory down pat. They can break down the Illuminati. They got the symbols and all that. But you're still wicked. You're still a whoremonger. What has had that changed because you can point out devil signs that'll start throwing up? You're going to be in the same spot. Watch this. Go ahead.
And let us run with patience.
And let us run with patience.
The race that is set before.
The race that said what?
Before.
Your race. Not someone else's race. Not something that you thought was going to be best for you. Not the goals and the idea, the plan of life that you made for yourself. And this is another problem. That some of you are trying to hold on to the life that you did, that you designed pre-truth. So this goal that you set, that you said you wanted when you were this person, the old man, Now you think because you're the new man, you're going to be able to get that old man's life and dreams. That's not going to happen. That's just like you getting an inheritance or getting a job, let's say a job, and had a bank account. And then you work this job for 5 years, and then something happened and you go and change your name. You think you're going to be able to go back to the bank and get that money? You got to first rearrange that money before you change your name, because you go back to that bank as Tom when you used to be Ben. I don't know you. So that's some things, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to have to realize. Watch this. Go ahead.
Looking unto Yeshua,
Looking unto Yeshua,
the author
and finisher
of our faith.
If the story that you are trying to live out was not written by him, it's a fairy tale. It is a delusion. You're daydreaming. If he's not the author of it, and he's not the one that's going to bring it to pass, you're wasting your time. No matter how much you put into it, it will never come to pass. And if it does, at what cost? What profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul? Right? Go ahead, Dick.
Who, for the joy that was set before him,
Right,
endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Yah.
Do you know what the joy that was set before him? It was you. It had nothing to do with him. He was already good. The joy that was set before him was to put himself in a position to die for the sins of Israel so that you can be awakened today. That was his joy. So, at the same manner, ladies and gentlemen, your joy must be to put yourself in a sacrificial position in order to be used by the Most High. That has to be your joy. And if it is not, you have a problem. This is why Psalm 37 says you must delight yourself in his ways. This cannot be an obligation here. You must delight in this. Because you will never do anything that you don't enjoy. You'll do it for a moment, but eventually your flesh will lead you back to what you enjoy. And if what you enjoy is self-destructive, you will be destroyed by your own demise. And you've been taught through the religion of Christianity to say it's the devil, so that you feel better. So you can sleep at night. So look at what the devil has done. Nah, he's like, nah, fam, I ain't had nothing to do with that. Anything weighted down will never rise. Now, let's go to Ephesians 6. Let's get an idea of who this guy we're fighting here, because if I was to poll the average so-called black man, so-called average African-American man, they would have a total different answer for who they fighting. I want to do a lesson on the KKK. I would love to share the information that I know about the KKK. Let you guys know, man, those guys, man, they don't have any power. Those guys are pitiful. The reason that the government has allowed those guys to remain so that you can have this boogeyman that you can look at. Oh, look at the KKK. A bunch of poor white guys walking up and down the road with a mask on, with a couple of kegs of Budweiser in their car, screaming white power. They don't have a power enough to do anything for their own lives. But you have to think this is your enemy. This guy, the KKK, is really stopping me. That KKK can't get a job. He's looking for the same meal to open back up that you are. Okay. Ephesians 6. And let's start there at verse 10. Watch this.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Most High.
Be strong in what?
In the Most High.
Uh-huh.
And in the power of his might.
And the power of his might. Go ahead.
Put on the whole armor of Yah,
Uh-huh.
that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
Stand against who?
The wiles of the
The
devil.
wiles of the so-called white man.
The wiles of the devil.
The wiles of American government.
The wiles of the devil.
That's who you fight. And you're not going to be able to fight this battle if you don't have the whole armor of Yah. It's going to break down this armor. I can guarantee what you want. I'm going to tell you right now, put the cart before the horse. You won't see fringes on it. I got fringes on. My brothers, we all got fringes on. That's not part of the armor. Ladies, you won't see a hair wrap. Ladies got their hair wrapped. That won't be part of it. That won't stop it. Okay? You won't see a shofar on. Okay? All these things that we grasp and holding on to, saying, this is it. This is us. These are just symbolic things. Part of our heritage. Let's look at what the armor looks like. Verse 11. It's like verse 12.
For we wrestle not against flesh and
Because
blood.
you're not dealing with flesh and blood, ladies and gentlemen. Flesh and blood is not your enemy. And no matter how many times I tell people that, every council, we talk about people. And for those who are watching and those who are with us today, you can attest that those councils go the same way. I listen to you, telling me about everybody else, and at the end of the conversation, who do we end up talking about? You. Because I know you're the problem, even if it may be seeming like it's coming from an outside source. Right? We said what? We wrestle not against what?
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Right?
But against principalities.
Against principalities. Against powers.
Against the rulers of darkness of this world. Against spiritual wickedness in high places.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you saw the teaching that we did with the Romans are coming, if you haven't seen that lesson, I strongly suggest you watch it. The Romans are coming. You may want to check that out. And we taught in that lesson, ladies and gentlemen, that the fourth beast, Rome, is the governmental power in which the enemy is using to bring his will into the earth. The problem is that people are focusing on Rome and not focusing on their God. Because when you go to Revelation 12, now we broke down in there, they talked about how the beast looks, the 10 horns, which we told you were the 10 original countries of Rome. But what people are missing is in that part is when you go down in the chapter, it says, and the devil went to make war against the woman. So you're looking at the devil's servant and not realizing who sent them. So you see a man with a Confederate flag waving, and he said, hell, that's my enemy. You see a guy with a Trump hat on, oh, that's my enemy. And let me just put this out here. For those who may be watching through social media, it's making me, y'all look out for me for the next couple of days. Right. They say that any black person that rocks with the Republican Party is a sellout. That's what they say, right? So if they see black people with Republicans all throughout history, they say, you sell out. So what does that make people with the Democratic Party? Because you already been bought and sold. You ain't sold out, you've been sold. You just don't know it. The person that with the Republican Party that may be rocking with Trump this year, he just sold out. You've been took the 30 pieces, you just didn't know. You was convinced years ago that these guys had your demise. So you're calling somebody a sellout, you've already been bought, packaged, and sold. Sold out, sold. I don't want to be either one of them. And that's the sad thing about it. You really believe these guys have your best interests at heart. Since Kennedy, let's look at the sample size. Since Kennedy, The so-called black, so-called African-American community has sided and voted with the Democratic Party. Walk outside, look at your community, look at your families, look at the jobs, and that is the result of partnering and believing and trusting in the Democratic Party. How's that working for us? How's that went? Okay? You talk about a guy tweeting. You think a guy who's tweeting your enemy. The fact that you own Twitter is the problem. The fact that you believe that that's a weapon against you is the problem. The fact that you know what he said is the problem. Because I have no idea what he tweeted. I've never seen one. Have you? I haven't seen one tweet. Not a one. The most I don't tweet, you speak. You understand? Right? Who we dealing with, Nick? Read that verse 12 again.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world.
That's what we're fighting against. The rulers of darkness, the angels, these fallen gods, who are their gods, the gods of the Gentiles. That's who our beef is with. Go ahead.
Against spiritual wickedness in high places.
In high places. Go ahead.
Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, having done all to stand.
Having done all to stand. Go ahead.
Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth.
With what?
With truth.
Now, what is truth? What is truth? Now, you say you must stand with your loins girt. I mean, holding yourself up. And the only thing that's going to hold yourself up is what? Truth. What is truth? Give me Psalm 119, verse 142. Now, and before you read that song, the rest of that, read the rest of that verse, because all of that's included in there. Somebody back. The bow out.
Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth.
So you have to have your loins girded about with truth. Go ahead.
And having on the breastplate of righteousness.
And the breastplate of righteousness. That breastplate is going to block the darts coming to your heart. And the loins is being protected, is going to be protected by truth. Now go to Psalms 119, verse 142. Watch this.
Thy righteousness is an everlasting.
So the Most High says, what he considers righteousness is an everlasting righteousness. He doesn't care that the way of the times have changed to say this is cool and acceptable. My righteousness is an everlasting righteousness. Go ahead.
And thy law is the truth.
And thy law is the truth. So that means, ladies and gentlemen, if you are not walking in his law and according to his righteousness, you are open season for the devil. And how many of our people are actually walking with the law and his righteousness? But yet they don't realize, they're saying, oh, my problem is external. It's not. It's our inability to protect ourselves with the protection that was been given to us. You will tell the person right now, they're like, I will not go out to Walmart without a mask. I will not do it. I am socially responsible. No, socially responsible is keeping his law. If you want to protect your people, stop being wicked. Stop telling your people to live any kind of way. That's socially responsible. Stop breaking into people's houses. Stop selling them dope. Stop treating our women the way you're treating them. That's socially responsible, right? Nobody's talking about that, though. But let's go back. That's another lesson for another time. Let's go back. Ephesians 6, verse 15. What else we need?
And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace.
So, your feet, as you're walking this path in which the Most High has set for you, have the shod or the protection of the gospel of peace, which means that you're not going to be walking around in this world feeling uneasy, having anxiety attacks and panic attacks with every little thing you see come on the news. Because you have the peace that passes all understanding. How many of our people have that? Every news report, somebody's in their career right now losing it. They're sitting at the house every day, 6 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at noon, 5 to 7 o'clock every day, and tune into the devil lying to them. And wondering why they don't got no peace. Wondering why they're uneasy. Wondering why they're worried and panicking. What do you expect the devil to tell you? It's going to be all right? Listen, 2 weeks ago, the CDC came out and said, we missed it. Masks don't protect you. But they're still telling people to wear the mask. And people still ordering. When the CDC just came out and plainly said, masks don't protect you. That's the CDC. Be socially responsible. You can tell people their own words. Come on, fam. Come on, fam. I'm doing this every Shabbat. You know where I be at. If you calling me, I'll tell you in the metro. Straight up. Yeah, you ain't in the metro. Let's go to verse 15.
Above
Above all,
taking the shield of faith,
wherewith
ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked.
Because they're going to come. So you got to be able to have the fiery darts to quench these things when it comes. And the only thing you're going to be able to do that with is faith. But look at this. Verse 17.
And take the helmet of salvation.
Now, hold your place there, D. We all seem like we all over the place today, but you're going to see what I'm talking about in a minute. Read that rest of that verse 17.
And the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yahweh.
Now, hold your place there and go to Hebrews 4 and get 1 John 4. So it says that we got to take the helmet of salvation and the word and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Okay? Now watch this, how this is important. And this is the conversation that we deal with oftentimes when speaking with our brothers and sisters who are in the religion of Christianity. Our brothers and sisters who are dealing with Pan-Africanism. Right? They say, it don't matter because, everybody who's trying to live a moral good life is going to be okay. That's what they say. God's going to protect it. Hebrews 4, watch this, verse 12.
For the word of Yah is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword.
Now, so we know that the word of the Most High is that sword, which we was talking about. And it's powerful and it's sharper than any two-edged sword. But let's look at what his word does. Watch this.
Piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit.
So what that word does, ladies and gentlemen, is it separates you from your mindset to the Most High's mindset. It cuts away and shows you the difference between what you deem is right and what he said is right. Right? Go ahead.
And of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart.
And it also lets you know whether if you're on point or if you're not. Because you may convince yourself like, yo, I'm feeling right and could be wrong. This is the way I see it. Wrong. Only the word can do that. Now go to 1 John 4 and let me show you what I mean by that. Let me show you how important, because he said that we have to take upon the helmet of salvation. Let me show you what I mean by that. 1 John 4, verse 1. Watch this.
Beloved, believe not every spirit.
Believe not every spirit.
But try the spirits whether they are of Yah.
Now, okay. Everybody come talking about black this, black that, does not mean they're with you. Everybody talk about I'm with God. Doesn't mean they're with your Yah. You better try the spirit. Right? Look at what else he said. That's right, Deuce.
But try the spirits whether they are of Yah.
Right?
Because many false prophets are going out.
Because many false prophets are going out into the world. Now, this is the problem. When people hear the term false prophet, they automatically think that it's something necessary malicious. It not be. If you got to talk about false prophet and you're going out and teaching what that false prophet taught you, that makes you a false prophet. You may not have no intentions of being false, but your doctrine is false. Thus making you what? A false prophet. Right? Watch this. Verse 2.
Hereby know ye the spirit of Yah.
So this is how ultimately you will be able to know who is operating in the spirit of Yah. Go ahead.
The spirit that confesses that Yeshua HaMashiach is come in the flesh is of Yah.
Now, when we look at that, that just seems like, what if they say he came from he said he came from the Most High, he's the Son of God, that's cool. But how many of them out there teaching that he's white? How many of them out there teaching that Christmas and Easter is related to the Son of Yah? How many of them out there teaching that Sunday service is related to the Son of Yah? How many of them out there teaching that the Son of Yah went to do away with the law? So how can you have salvation if you're serving the wrong Savior? Which means no matter what your intentions of your heart is, if you're not talking about who the world ought to be Jesus Christ in this Bible, you're not coming in the spirit of Hamas, of the Most High. I don't care what your intentions are. And a lot of our people are weighed down by this false spirit. And they don't want to accept it. And this is a problem. Because a lot of people are using this as justification to remain in things, playing the grace card. Well, I can serve him any day. What day did he tell you to serve him? Well, I can do it this way, and I know he's going to accept it. How do you know that? Based on what? Watch this, verse 3.
And every spirit that confesseth not that Yeshua HaMashiach is come in the flesh is not of Yah.
So if you telling me that his color don't matter, you can't tell me that you operate in the Most High, because the Bible says that he came in the flesh. He came in a particular flesh, did he not? Okay. You can't just say, hey, I'm with him, and I don't care if he's red, blue, green, or yellow. He didn't come red, blue, yellow, or green, and yellow. And if he did, you wouldn't be walking with him. It's amazing to me. Right. You never said that. It's amazing to me that the ideal of that is Jesus can be red, blue, green, or yellow, but it can't be black. I'm willing to accept anything. I will follow a green Savior before I follow a black. And this is coming from my own people. Anything weighted down, ladies and gentlemen, can never rise. Now, let's go Job 36. How many of you know that a failed goal is many times is what births a purpose? It's kind of hard to swallow though, in the midst of your failure or what you deem as a failure. Do you know sometimes that a heartbreak is what leads to everlasting love? I know some of you right now are thinking the Most High that this person broke your heart. Like, Lord knows where I would be today. Hey, it doesn't feel good in the process, but you realize in the end that pain is a necessary component or a part of the recipe of pleasure. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, that too often times, because we're operating in the flesh, we only want to deal with something that will feel good. Before you go there, go to John 15. Let me show y'all something right quick. I'm sorry, this is the way. You've been on this roller coaster before, you know how this goes. Let me show you something right quick. I think this right here is going to, let's go to John 15. Now you gotta go up. It goes sideways. Yeah. Let me show y'all something right quick. Let me show you here that pain is not always a necessary bad thing. John 15. And let's look at verse 1 there. Watch this. Bring it out.
I am the true vine.
I am the true vine, says Amashiach.
And my Father is the husband.
And my Father, the Most High, is the husband. Go ahead.
Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away.
So the ones that are not producing fruit is automatically, you're out of here. He has nothing to do with anyone that's not doing anything. That's why he said, I'd rather you be hot or cold. You lukewarm guys, I'm spilling you out of my mouth. He'd rather you not even ever deal with him, never talk to him, never say nothing to him, than to be there halfway and not fully committed to his love. But look at this. He says, but what else is there?
And every branch that beareth fruit.
But those who are bearing fruit, he do what? He purges it.
That it may bring forth more fruit.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, do you know how plants are purged? That hurt. Imagine you that plant and somebody comes through and cut your leaf. Bow. Cut that leaf. Bow. That hurt. But he was only doing it because you were producing fruit. He's removing the things that's in the way of you actually producing more fruit. Anything weighted down can never rise. So if you got a whole bunch of excess weeds and all kind of stuff around, you got to get that stuff out of the way. But them weeds probably got you feeling comfortable, nice in there, got a little shade for you and everything. You know what I'm saying? He said, all that got to go. And so you're thinking like, man, I'm losing this and I'm losing that. How could I be right? But it's because you're right that you're losing. Because he knows there's more for you to do. Some of you are very comfortable where you are. And he is not. Because he understands where he's taking you. He understands what he really has for you to do. In order for you to get there, he got to show you everybody can't go. And that's a hard pill for a lot of us to swallow. Watch this. What else is it?
Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you.
Right.
Abide in me.
Abide in me.
And I in you.
And I in you.
As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine.
Right.
No more can ye except ye abide in me.
You can't do nothing unless you abide in him. But this is the thing about it, ladies and gentlemen. You can't abide in him and be wicked. You can't abide in him and do your own thing. It's kind of like that. He don't really, he's not up for negotiations. No, he differs a lot from that Jesus of Christianity. He don't talk it out. It's really his way or the highway when it comes to it. He's not understanding as they present him. He's not understanding it at all. He doesn't say, I'll drive for a while and you can drive. It's either I'm driving or get out the car. And he recognized that he gave me the car, so he's not even, all of it is his. He understands that. But he's a very good guy, though, if you listen. He's a very great guy if you listen. But if you're not, then it's, hey. Very kind. It's very kind. Let me tell you what I'm going to do for you. This is what I'm going to do for you. And he will. Right? Verse 5.
I am the vine.
I am the vine.
Ye are the branches.
You must recognize that you are a branch. I don't care how you look and people in your community deem you. You are nothing more than a branch. Okay, that's it. Go ahead.
Well, he that abideth in me and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit.
Mm-hmm.
For without me, ye can do nothing.
So without me, you ain't gonna do nothing. And so a lot of people, ladies and gentlemen, have deemed themselves quite successful. And the Most High said, Shai saying, listen, I ain't deemed that as nothing. Might have got you some high fives from people, but I ain't even counting it. Is that devastating? Because think about it. If you sold people on lies, none of them is going to be able to get in off your lies. If you gave them false gospel, if you gave them false hope, if you gave them hype, if you gave them prophet lies instead of prophecy, it doesn't matter. And our people love prophesying, prophet lying. They love it. They love it. People prefer prophet lying over prophecy. Because prophet lying, hey, there's no recommendations, there's no requirements, you don't have to do anything, you just about to get an overflow. You just about to get your Boaz. Your debt about to be free. All that is great. Prophet line is wonderful, tickles the flesh. Prophet say, hey man, you about to hurt for the next 12 months. But when you come out of it, then you're gonna have an overflow. 12 months? Let me go back to this prophet line over here and tell me I'm gonna give, if I give you $1,200, I'm gonna get it in 12 days. Go down to the with the cash, the little cash loan, the check loan place. Borrow $1,200, got to pay back $4,000. Right? Stupid crazy. And in 12 days, I must have missed it. I bet you did. You ain't gonna miss these skippity packs. Somebody give me those. What's this? Now, look at this right here though, verse 6 though.
If a man abide not in me,
right,
he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned.
Y'all see that? So you see, ladies and gentlemen, that this right here verse in itself is evidence of what's going on in our community. Because he said, once you get to the point where I can't count on you to do nothing for me, men gather you, cast you out, and you're burnt. This is Josiah saying this. This is not. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. You know, it's tough when it's coming straight from him. Verse 7.
If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you.
And what is the whole purpose of all this?
Herein is my Father glorified.
Herein is my Father glorified.
If ye bear much fruit, so shall ye be my disciples.
So, ladies and gentlemen, He only is interested in those who are doing the work for him. That you must bear fruit and glorify his Father, not us, but the Father must receive the glory. Okay? Now let's go to Job. And they write deuce. Job 36. We're going to start there, verse 5. Buckle up your seatbelts here, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a little bumpy.
Behold, Yah is mighty and despiseth not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserveth not the life of the wicked.
Read that again.
He preserveth not the life of the
He
wicked.
preserveth not the life of the wicked. Let's start over. That's Job 36, verse 5. I need them to hear this in totality.
Behold, Yah is mighty and despiseth not any.
So he don't despise no man, ladies and gentlemen. The Bible tells us in 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, verse 9, that he wished that all men would come to repentance. He's long suffering. He says over in Ezekiel 33 that he takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. But, go ahead.
He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserveth not the life of the wicked.
But he will not preserve your life. If you make a choice, ladies and gentlemen, to hold on to things that are contrary to his word, you will not be preserved by it. Go ahead.
But give it right to the poor.
But give it right to the poor. Go ahead.
He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but the kings that are they on the throne. Yea, he doth establish them forever, and they are exalted.
See that? He said, if you're walking in righteousness, my eyes will never depart from you. And you do understand, ladies and gentlemen, that Revelation 1:6 says that the blood of Hamashiach has made us all to be kings and priests, queens and priests in the eyes of Hamashiach. So if you walk in his righteousness, his eyes will never depart from you. Now, I need you to see something here on that, because we're talking about anything that's weighted down will never rise. So he's telling you that his eyes will never leave the righteous. Go to Psalms 34. Because some of you are saying right now, well, hold up now. You're telling me if I keep the law and follow Hamashiach that I'm righteous and his eyes are going to never depart from me, why I'm going through problems? Once again, that is another casualty of the religion of Christianity. Because the religion of Christianity taught our people, say, hey, if you're doing right, you ain't gonna have no problems. Let's see what the Bible says on that. Psalm 34, verse 17.
The righteous cry, and the Most High hear it.
The righteous cry, and the Most High hear it. Why? Because his eyes is on him. He's right there. Psalms 46, verse 1 says he's a very present help in a time of trouble. Go ahead.
And deliver them out of all of their trouble.
And do what?
Deliver them out of all of their trouble.
No, it's every now and then.
Out of all of their trouble.
Nah, man, it's a roll of the dice. You might just get through.
Out of all of their trouble.
Go ahead.
The Most High is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I know sometimes you go find yourself in a place of feeling brokenness and uncertainty and feeling uneasy. But the Most High is right there with you. He's not left. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. Verse 19.
Many are the afflictions of the righteous.
Read that again.
Many are the afflictions of the righteous.
Many are the afflictions of the righteous. The righteous man will have to deal with many afflictions, just like the wicked man. But the difference is,
for the Most High delivers him out of them all.
That's the difference. Y'all see that? So when you go back over here to Job 36, when he says over in verse 6, I will not preserve the wicked, but he will preserve his righteous. Anything weighted down can never rise. So you have to make a decision, ladies and gentlemen. You must make a decision to remove the things from your life. Verse 8. No, it's like verse 7. Yeah, wrong verse 8.
And if they be bound in fetters and be holden in cords of affliction, then he showeth them their work and their transgressions that they have exceeded.
So he said, listen, his eyes is always on the righteous kings and on the righteous. So if you find yourself in a place where you're getting punished, he's showing you, you did this to yourself. He said, listen, my eyes is on you, so I'm preserving you. So if you find yourself going through something like this, you played a part in this. You got to ask yourself, what did I do to bring this about? Go ahead.
He opened also his ear to this discipline and commanded that they return from iniquity.
So then he shows you what it is that you're doing, and then gives you the way to escape so that you can fix what's in your life. This is what he would do for us. But if you don't have that relationship with him, you're going to be sitting out here, oh, it's them, the devil. People hate on me. Nah, it's us. It's us. Go ahead.
If they obey and serve him,
If they obey and serve him,
they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure.
right?
If they obey not,
But if they obey not,
they shall perish by the sword.
read that again, right?
They shall die without
And they will die without knowledge. We can't allow ourselves to go out like this, ladies and gentlemen. Now, hold your place there. I want to build this so you can keep seeing what we're talking about as this current day that we're dealing with. I want you to relate all these things to us. Go to Amos 9. The Most High said, if they obey, they will live out their day in prosperity. If they do not, they will die by the sword. Let's go to Amos 9. Because I need you all to be able to relate this to where we are today. Amos 9. Start at verse 8.
Behold, the eyes of the Most High Yah are upon the sinful kingdom.
So, not only is his eyes on the righteous, but his eyes is also on that sinful kingdom. And we know what that sinful kingdom is. Rome, the daughter of Babylon, Sodom and Egypt, current day America. His eyes is on that sinful kingdom. Go ahead.
And I will destroy it off the face of the earth.
So a lot of people try to put it here and talking about this was talking about Babylon. Babylon still exists. They just call it Iraq now. It's still there. But the Bible says that when he gets done with America, that you can not be able to put tents there. The animals, nobody will be able to live here. This is the only nation that's being removed from the earth, along with Rome. They're their own debt. This is the Bible. It's not opinions. Read that again. It says what?
Behold, the eyes of the Most High Yah upon the sinful kingdom.
Right.
I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Most High.
But I will not destroy the house of Jacob. Look at what he's going to do. Verse 9.
For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
Now, if you're shaking something up, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be a problem, ain't it? Now, imagine if the Most High shaking it. No, he's kind of heavy-handed, to say the least. Right? So that means if he's shaking the nations, we're going to feel the repercussions of that shaking, whether it be economically, whether it be politically, whatever the case may be. If we're in any different areas, you're going to have to deal with the repercussions of what's happening. So you're not exempt of anything here. But look at what he said. Go ahead.
Among all nations, like as corn is sifted in her seed.
Right.
Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth.
But yet, not the least grain of his children will fall upon earth. But, go ahead.
All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword.
See that? Now, do we need to continuously define what a sinner is? For those who may be watching for the first time, you may come across this video for the first time. You may not know what sin is because according to the religion of Christianity, depending on what denomination you're in, hey, anything can be a sin. A woman can walk in the church and don't have a shirt, dress to her ankles, and she can be a sinner. A man cannot have a suit on with a pocket square and preaching, that could be a sin. You know, he cannot, pay his tithes up to the teeth when you can say that's a sin. Depending on the denomination and the church bylaws, sin can be anything to anybody. But the Most High said there's only one definition. 1 John 3 and 4.
Whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law.
Right?
For sin is the transgression of the law.
So you're in a very, very difficult place if you're in a religion or a church that's telling you to break the law. If you follow political leaders, political and community leaders who not teach you to follow the law, who are telling you that it's okay that you don't got to worry about that Bible. They're telling you the black woman is God. It's telling you that we're Egyptians. It's telling you that we need to follow the African gods. We're telling you to channel your ancestors. If you're involved in any organization, in anything that's dealing with any of that matters, you're in trouble. If you're partnering with them, if you're standing with them, you're in trouble. Go back to Amos 9, verse 10.
All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword.
And all the sinners of my people. He didn't say Gentiles. Because he said, I'm shifting the nations. And he said, not one, the least of them will hit the ground, but the sinners, the wicked that will not be preserved, will die by the sword. Why? And what are they going to be saying the whole time? Because we're going to rapture out of here. That's what the Christians are saying. Some of our Israelites saying that they're going to send spaceships together. And leaving Babylon, ladies and gentlemen, is not the totality of the answer. Just because you leave America, you're still breaking the law. You just die in another country. I don't understand why people think that it's okay. I'll leave America and get shot down. Tell them to 10 dudes and AKs. 10 dudes and AKs take over the country. Overthrow. You think you're good. You're in the country. 10 dudes and AKs overthrown overnight. New regime. New regime. You just got there. New regime. You understand? So we got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that anything that weighted down will never be able to rise. But look what he said in verse 11.
In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David.
That's who Hamashiach, who the word on to be Jesus Christ.
That is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I'll raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old.
Now, let's go. Let's go to Sirach, the first chapter. And my brother graciously put some apocryphas in the pews. Never thought you'd see apocrypha in the pews, did you? So there was for those who come in, they don't have an apocrypha, you're more than willing to use them here. Take them outside the church, we need 700%. Let's go to Sirach 1. Matter of fact, before we go there, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 1. Anything weighted down can never rise. Go to Wisdom of Solomon 1. Wisdom of Solomon 1, let's start at verse 1.
Love righteousness, ye that be judges of the earth. Think of the Most High with good heart, and in simplicity of heart seek him.
You gotta love righteousness, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you guys are still watching things that are contrary, that promote things contrary to the Most High? Only you know the answer to that. We said love righteousness. I don't understand how we could see something that is destroying, exploiting our community as entertainment. I don't understand how that's entertainment. But it is for a lot of people. Verse 2.
For he will be found of them that tempt him not.
Because he's going to be found of him that tempt him not. Which means if you're not doing what he said, he won't be found in you. He won't be found in your life. There will be no evidence of him in your life. Go ahead.
And shows himself unto such as do not distrust him.
Do not what?
Do not distrust him.
Y'all see that? Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen, that really at the center of many people's trust issues is the way they see themselves? Some of you still have a sin conscience. You're looking at your eyes, you're looking at yourself through the eyes of a decision that you made 5 years ago. And you trust the truth of the matter, you haven't forgiven yourself. And I'm gonna tell you, some of you need to really, and I'm saying this for those, some of you that are watching via social media, because I have the same counsel a lot. Some of you have to recognize that what we were doing in the Christian church was not malicious, it's just what we were taught. And some of you, especially the leaders, not so much laymen, but anyone who served in a capacity, some of you are still beating yourself up. Like, I can't believe I taught this. I can't believe I said this. Man, I went through that for 2 years, man. And it's a waste of time. We did the best we could with what we was given. We kept our ear to the spirit, and the Most High brought us out of that madness. Thank him for that and keep it moving. Look at Paul. Paul did the same thing. If you read Paul's writings, Paul revisits his attacks on who the world know to be Christians. He dealt with it over and over. He couldn't really get past that. I mean, all the great work that Paul did, he couldn't get over the fact of the people that he led to die, that he personally ordered killed in prison and all those things. It was wrong. That's why Yeshua told us that you're going to suffer many things for me, because you led to a lot of suffering. And I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still hung up on yesterday, you're going to have a hard time going in your tomorrow. You got to let yesterday go, because it's going to be a problem for you to trust him. Some of you, ladies and gentlemen, are dealing with church hurt, and a pastor or a leader did something to you or disappointed you, or didn't utilize you, whatever the case may be. He's not the Most High. Some of you are coming out of a congregation or a camp or whatever the case may be, where some false doctrine was taught, and you realize, oh man, listen, celebrate that you're awake, celebrate that your eyes are open to keep it moving. We can't stay there, because your trust of people is representation of your trust of the Most High. It's a direct connection. It's a direct correlation. The more you trust the Most High, the better your relationship with people. You don't have people who have great relationship with the Most High and a shaky relationship with people. They don't happen. The reason you don't trust people is because you don't trust the Most High. And some of you don't trust the Most High based on people, and you're trying to put him in the eyes of people. That's not the same. He never disappointed you. Because long before he ever acknowledged him, he was acknowledging you. Ever before you believed and gave him honor for what he did for you, he was already provided for you. I remember, this is a long time ago, I'll say this right quick. I remember one time, I was in the church. I was still in the Christian church. And I stood up, I had to preach that day. And I talked about, I said, ever since I've been tithing and offering, I ain't never went without nothing. The Lord has been provided. The Lord has been good to me. And I meant it. Preached, good service, got in my car, was driving home. And the most I said, so I just now started doing that. And it was just a realization, like, and he started flashing back over different times that he had done stuff in my life. Like my first year at Fayetteville State University, I came in the spring and I had a bill. And they wouldn't allow me to transfer my financial aid over. And it was like $900. And my dad was like, I don't got it. And I was like 2 days away of having to go home. And I got a loan. He said, you weren't praying to me for that. I did it though. Because you best believe it, Fayetteville State, I was far from the Bible at that point. So his acknowledgement of him doing things for us has been occurring long before we ever gave him glory. We're late in the game. And there's a lot of things in our lives that he's doing that we haven't even acknowledged yet. You're going to find out about 2 or 3 years and you're going to sit back, oh my God, that was him. But if you still have that level of distrust, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt those connected to you, and you're going to hinder your purpose. Okay? Verse 3.
For forward thoughts separate from Yah.
Read that again.
For forward thoughts separate from Yah.
Mm-hmm.
And his power.
When
his pride reproveth the unwise.
See that? So if your mind, ladies and gentlemen, is focused on things contrary, you're going to separate yourself. The carnal mind, according to Romans 8, is at enmity with the law of Yah. If you're operating in the flesh, you cannot please Yah. Period. You can't be both. Verse 4.
For into a malicious soul wisdom shall not enter.
Read that again.
For into a malicious soul.
For into a malicious soul, it will not enter. So when everybody's talking about they operating in the spirit and you breaking the law, I'm like, really? You can't do both. Because a malicious soul, he said, I ain't coming. This is what it means to actually grieve the Holy Spirit. Go ahead.
Nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin.
Y'all see that? Everybody and their mama said they got the Holy Spirit. Do they? They got a spirit. But it ain't the Holy Spirit. It ain't the Ruach HaKodesh, I tell you that. That's a fact. And now listen to some of this madness you seeing going on there. People like, oh, that was a move of the Spirit. No, yeah, but not the Most High. People jumping off the pews in there and running and nah. That's not the way that's not the way it works. That's another spirit. It's rocks. That's what that is. That's something else. There's Zeus popping off in there. Not Jesus. Verse 5.
For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit.
Read that again.
For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit.
It will flee deceit.
And remove from thoughts that are without understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And without abide when unrighteousness cometh in.
It's not going to do it. Anything weighed down can't rise. You cannot rise with the Most High if you weigh it down with sin and deceit. Side deals, hatred, displaced aggression. People mad at their spouse. You got beef with your spouse, but you believe in for a breakthrough for your child. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Walking in unforgiveness with your parents. I suggest anybody who got problems with their parents and the way they see them, you better read Sirach, the 3rd chapter. The way you seeing this madness, how people going on TV and just airing out their dirty laundry and airing out their parents. It may be popular today, but it ain't popular with the Most High. Some of you are cursing your lives about how you talking and treating your parents. I don't care what they've done. Because the Most High didn't have an asterisk by honor thy mother and father and an asterisk there if they do right by you. It's not an asterisk. Just do it. It's the only commandment that comes with a promise. And if you look in the communities, all of these young people dying, what is the one essential thing that they all have in common? They will not obey their parents. And we know it's a lot of factors that play into that, but the Most High, I'm telling you, he just gives the law. He ain't looking for excuses. And because our people don't know that the law was given to us and these things are based on us, it's hard for us to understand. So when you go and tell a person that, like, well, man, everybody, they said it ain't real, but people dying. Well, how many of them would keep the law? And you say that, oh man, I can't believe you said that. No, I didn't say he did. I'm just only repeating. I'm just only saying what he said. Because people do not understand that the Yah of that Bible, of this Bible, and the Yah and the God of these religions are not the same. And they're so used to hearing about the other guy. Where we at, D? Verse 6.
For wisdom is a loving spirit, and will not acquit a blasphemer of his word.
He's not going to do it. He's not going to go to the Most High and say, give him another chance. It's not the way it works. Go ahead.
For Yah is witness of his reigns, and true beholder of his heart, and a hearer of his tongue. For the spirit of the Most High filleth the world, and that which containeth all things has knowledge of the voice. Therefore, he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid.
Therefore, he that speaketh unrighteous things cannot be hid. A lot of us are so worried about other people seeing us. Most High got our eyes 10 times brighter than the sun. So a lot of us are most worried about make sure people don't know. He knows. Getting away from it with people means nothing if he knows. Read the rest of that, Dick.
Neither shall vengeance, when it punisheth, pass by him.
It will not pass. All right. Now let's go to we're almost done for the day. No long lessons today. Unless Steve wants more. Get to the meat. Y'all can stop me anytime. Y'all please just stop me. If I'm moving too fast, just tell me and we'll stop. No problem. I'm just used to this is really slow really for us. Sometimes it's fast. And I have no problem slowing down. We want to make sure everybody get understanding. If y'all have questions, write it down because we're going to take the last 10 minutes to answer the question. No problem. That's what we're here for. Let's go to Sirach 1. Let's start at verse 11.
The fear of the Most High is honor, and glory and gladness, and a crown of rejoicing. The fear of the Most High make a merry heart, and giveth joy and gladness and a long life.
So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, there is no losing in doing what's right. I know sometimes we seem like we get so focused on what we're giving up. It's better to be worried about what you're giving up when you don't do right. That's what you better be focusing on. Verse 13.
Whoso feareth the Most High, it shall go well with him at the last. He shall find favor in the day of his death.
That, ladies and gentlemen, that's what you need. That's what you need. Go ahead.
To fear the Most High is the beginning of wisdom.
Read that again.
To fear the Most High is the beginning of wisdom.
I don't care how much education you have, how many books you read. You can quote this Bible from Genesis to Revelation. If you don't have the fear and honor and respect of the humbleness of the Most High, you know nothing. Because that's why he tells us in Sirach 12, he that have a little small understanding but fear the Most High is better than him who have great wisdom and breaking the law. Okay? So don't get caught up in the fact that, oh man, I don't know that Bible like that. Listen, if you know the Most High like that, you good. You way better off than anybody else if you know him and trust him and honor him. Listen, if you know the Most High, you're submitted to his son and trust his spirit, you are better off than 90% of the world with no knowledge, no understanding. And you're guaranteed to reign in the kingdom. You may be looked down upon, your peers or whatever the case may be, but the Most High sees you as an honorable son or daughter. Okay? So don't get caught up in those things like that. Where we at, D?
The fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom.
Right.
And it was created with the faithful in the womb.
You see that? So, ladies and gentlemen, that's why Jeremiah 1:5 says that before you was formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. I know that some of you may have been born into some difficult circumstances, and you had the whole world against you. But he had already ordained you to do everything you needed to do, and which means everything you need has already been given. Luke 17 says the kingdom of Yah is in you. You don't need to look anywhere else but on the inside. And if Hamashiach lives on the inside of you, you're good. Just believe it, receive it, allow it to come forth and manifest in every area of your life. You have already been prepared for everything you need. Go ahead.
She has built an everlasting foundation with men, and she shall continue with their seed. To fear the Most High is fullness of wisdom, and filleth men with her fruits.
Right.
She filleth all their house with things desirable, and the garners with her increase.
Right.
The fear of the Most High is a crown of wisdom, making peace and perfect health to flourish, both which are the gifts of Yah, and it enlargeth the rejoicing that love him.
See that?
Wisdom raineth down skill and knowledge of understanding, and exalteth them to honor that hold her fast.
See that? So that means if it's raining down, that means that just because you don't have it right now, that don't mean you're not going to have it when you need it. I've been living proof of that this week. I started school this week. And I'm telling you right now, at the beginning of the week, I would listen to these people talk Mandarin. They were speaking English, but it sounded Mandarin to me. I'm sitting there like this. And they just talking. I was like, I turn the screen on. Come back, still don't understand. Tuesday, still don't understand. Wednesday, don't understand. But I know it was nothing that they knew that he didn't know. So I just relied on him. Did my presentation Friday. They're all like, oh man, I'm very impressed. You are. I gassed my way through it, bro. Straight up. Just saying what the Most High told me to say. So don't get caught up in what you think you don't have. You have him. You have everything you need if you have him. Watch this. Go ahead.
The root of wisdom is the fear of the Most High.
The root of wisdom. Now, we understand, ladies and gentlemen, that the root is what goes into the ground and is what gives substance to everything that comes up. Remember, Rashaya said that I am divine, the Most High is the husbandman. Well, the root of wisdom is what?
It's the fear of the Most High.
So that means everything that's going to come from that is going to come from the fact that you're rooted in that. If you're not, what do you think is going to grow from that? Disobedience, unrighteousness, and ultimately what? Wickedness. And we know Romans 6:23 says what? For the wages of sin is what? Death. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Ecclesiastes 8:13 says that because of sin is not quickly given, it is in the heart of men to do nothing but sin. So people think just because you're not getting paid fast, you think you're getting away with it, but you're not. You're just building a case against you that's making it more harder. If anybody ever got those whoopings from your mom or your daddy says, I'm gonna pay you for old and new. Ain't that some of the worst ones you can ever receive? You rather get that one when you cut up and do something then, versus the one that done went 2 weeks out, old and new. Now he's about to get beat all over the room. Well, let me show you what I mean by that. Hold your spot there. Let me show you. Let me put it on the level of the Most High. Go to Ephesians. Go to Isaiah 54. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You got to understand, anything that we do, you got to magnify by a million. And then you still ain't going to come to the level of it when dealing with the Most High. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Now, I want you to think about everything we went through from Babylon to now. Okay. I want you to think about it from 500 something BC to now. All of this suffering that the so-called black man, so-called African American has experienced, that's currently going on to this day. Okay. You want to talk about a 6-year Holocaust. Our Holocaust is continuing going on. The numbers are still churning, right? But look at what the Most High described our Holocaust as. Isaiah 54 and verse 7.
For a small moment have I forsaken thee.
What? Look at that. He said what?
For a small moment have I forsaken thee.
Right?
For a great mercies will I gather
You
thee.
see that? Now, think about it. If he's saying this was a small moment, what is a great moment to him? I'd rather not find out. Those in the lake of fire are going to be able to tell you all about that. But look at the last part he said, though. With what?
But with great mercies,
For with great mercies,
I will gather thee.
I will gather thee. So he said, listen, I was just did that for a small moment, but I'm going to gather you with greatness. So that means the gathering is going to be great. Look at verse 8.
In a little wrath,
In a little wrath,
I hid my face.
this was little to him. This is the Most High that we serve. Where you can suffer for 1,500 years and it's a little wrath. Right? That's a little wrath. That's only new, right? Go ahead.
In a little wrath, I hid my face from thee for a moment.
For a moment,
But with everlasting
but with everlasting
kindness,
kindness,
I will have mercy on thee.
y'all see that? So the comeback is going to be way greater than the fall. We just got to make it sure we get there. I just want y'all to see that, right? So let's end off in Isaiah 61 with some good news. Let's give y'all some good news in our phone. I like to always go to this right here. Because this is our Lord and Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach, with the word of Jesus Christ, prophesying through Isaiah here. We're going to see some familiar scriptures. And I'm going to precept in here to show you what you see over in what they call the New Testament. So you can know that when people try to quote these things and say it's about somebody else, it's talking about you. Isaiah 61, verse 1.
The Spirit of the Most High Yah is upon me,
Right?
because the Most High has anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek.
Unto who?
Unto the meek,
Go ahead.
He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prisons to them that are
You
bound.
see that? Now, who's went into captivity? Did the Gentiles go into captivity? I just wanted to put that out there, verse 2.
To proclaim the acceptable year of the Most High, and the day of vengeance of our Yah, to comfort all that mourn,
Right?
to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion.
Now, notice when you go, well, I'm going to show you in a minute over in Luke the 4th chapter. They only read those first two verses. If you're ever in the church, they'll just read those first two verses. They'll never keep going. Because if you keep going, it's pretty specific who he's talking to. Verse 3, read that again. He says what?
To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion.
In Zion, go ahead.
To give unto them.
To give it to who?
Unto them.
Not to everybody.
Unto them. Beauty for ashes. The armor of joy for mourning. The garment of praise for the spirit of heaven.
Right?
That they might be called.
That who?
that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Most High, that he might be glorified.
Now, how or who is going to be glorified? The Most High, by a certain particular people getting a certain thing. Go to Luke the 4th chapter and you can see this. This is your precept. So when anybody ever try to bring you this, it's like, no, man, it's for God to love the world. This is your precept right here. Luke 4. And starting now, we're going to start at verse 14 because I want to even clear it now. Yeah, I want to even clear. Got to bring out one at a time.
And Yeshua returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee.
Right.
And there went out a fame of him throughout all the region round about. And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all. He came to Nazareth where he had been brought up. Right. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day.
He went there when?
On the Sabbath day.
No, he went on Sunday.
On the Sabbath day.
So if Yeshua is keeping the Sabbath and people call themselves Christians, why isn't a Christian supposed to be Christ-like? If this is custom to go to the church, go to the temple on the Sabbath day, what have we been doing? Go ahead.
And stood up for to read.
And
there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he opened the book, he found the place where it was written.
What are you reading?
The Spirit of the Most High is upon me.
The same exact thing, ladies and gentlemen, that you see in Isaiah 61:1. Go ahead.
Because he has appointed me to preach the gospel to the poor.
Right.
He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and the recovering of the sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Most High.
Right.
And he closed the book, and he gave it again to the minister and sat down. And the eyes of all them that were in the synagogue were fastened on him.
And look at what he said.
And he began to say unto them, this day is the scripture fulfilled in your ears.
Y'all see that? So him coming into the synagogue and teaching on the Shabbat, in his words, was the fulfillment of this. And then when you go to Matthew 15:24, read that for him, D. Matthew 15:24. You see it out of his own words.
And he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Y'all see that? So this was the fulfillment of this prophecy. Him coming back and dying for the sins of Israel. This is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, that the religion of Christianity has to keep you out of what they call the Old Testament. Because then you have the proof of who they were talking to. Let's go back. Let's look at the rest of this good news here. What else he said he came to die for? Verse 4.
And they shall build the old wastes. They shall raise up former desolations. They shall repair the waste cities, the desolation of many generations.
The desolation of many generations. That small moment that he went away with. All these going to be prepared. Go ahead.
And strangers shall stand and feed your flock.
And strangers, those are the Gentiles, going to do what? We're going to feed our flocks. You see that? That's why they don't want you to know this. You're not going to be the servant no more. You will be served. And what are they going to call you?
Well, you shall be named the priest of the Most High.
Now, remember I told you, Revelation 1:6 says what? The blood of Hamashiach has made us to be what? Kings and priests. This was the prophecy. Him dying fulfilled it. What else?
They shall call you the ministers of our Yah.
You see that? Go ahead.
You shall eat the riches of the Gentiles.
You shall eat the riches of the Gentiles. And in their glory, their money and all that, shall you boast yourself. Hold your place there. Paul is going to say the same thing. Go to Romans 11 chapter. I want to make sure you guys have all these precepts. So at any time someone comes to you with this, you'll be able to prove it. It's not an opinion. This is the Bible. Romans 11. Romans 11, verse 11. Watch this.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall?
We talk about the Israelites.
God forbid.
God forbid.
But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy.
You will never see that verse right there read on TBN, Daystar, or any public Christian television. Because it can't be John 3:16 and that. Okay? It can't be both. Salvation came to the Gentiles to provoke us to jealousy. And your precept for that is in Deuteronomy 32. But we'll be here all day if I just keep precept. Verse 12.
Now if the fall of them be the riches of the world.
So now he said, when we fail, this is the way the world got rich. Go ahead.
And the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles. How much more therefore?
How much more rich are we if we fail and the whole world got rich? Now when you go back to Isaiah 61, read that last part of that, read that verse again.
You shall eat the riches of the Gentiles.
You shall eat the riches of the Gentiles.
And the glory shall be.
Y'all see that? This is the Bible. This is not an opinion. I'm just reading the Bible. Verses that they don't read. Watch this. Verse 7.
For your shame you shall have double.
For your shame you shall have double.
For your confusion they shall rejoice in their portion.
You see that? Because they lied to us through their education and their religion, made us believe that we were someone else. They're going to have to settle for what we give them. But let me put this out here, because I need this need to be said. This ain't going to be no get back revenge. What they did to us in America will not be done to them. And if you think that's what it's going to be, you won't be making it. We put that out there. Because Hamashiach is a holy, righteous king, and he's not going to allow for that. But it is going to be clear that if they don't want to listen, y'all want that verse? Want me to give them that verse, D? Let's go to Isaiah 63. It's going to be very clear. If you don't want to listen, you know, you say you don't have no problem. You know, matter of fact, it's Isaiah 66, Lucky. This is what will be told to the Gentiles. They don't want to deal with it. This is going to be a reminder. Isaiah 66, verse 23.
And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if the Most High is prophesying that when the kingdom comes, we're going to be keeping Sabbaths, new moons. We kept Sabbaths and new moons in Israel. We kept Sabbaths, new moons in the kingdom. And he said we don't have to do it now. That doesn't make any sense. He said, when I come back, you're going to keep his Sabbaths and new moons. But they tell you that it's done away. He said that it was done away with. Read that again. It says what?
And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another,
right,
and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Most High.
So they're going to have to come. The Gentiles will have to come to Jerusalem, where we will be at. They have to come to Israel, and they're going to have to pay their homage to Israel. And this is what's going to happen. Verse 28.
And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of men that have transgressed against me.
Y'all see that? This is the Bible. Everybody that said, I ain't submitting to no black man, you're done. Everybody said, I ain't keeping no laws, you're done. It's not no hope dream. It's not an opinion. This is the Bible. Read it again. It says what?
And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die.
So he's not going to allow the bodies to rot. the whole pathway into Jerusalem will be filled with bodies of Gentiles who said, I ain't following. I ain't listening. I think we should do it another way. What about voting? Go ahead.
Neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
And they're going to hate it. We over there, we good. So that's what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need to be focusing on what they're doing. They're taking care of. Just get down and lay down. The best thing you need to do is to make sure you're good. They are not the issue. We are. It's making sure you're going from Jacob to Israel to the remnant. Because Jacob ain't getting in, neither will Israel. The remnant of Israel is going to get in. Okay? So, that's it. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Yes, ma'am. We must make sure that we go from Jacob to Israel or to the remnant. Because the only people that will be making it to the kingdom is the remnant of Israel. Let's get the precept on that. Isaiah 10, verse 20 through 22. So Jacob represents the entire 12 tribes. So-called black man, the so-called African American man, the so-called Latino, the so-called Hispanic, the so-called Native American, the people of West and South Africa, the so-called Aborigines of Australia, those that are in certain parts of Cambodia, Laos, the people of the South Seas, Hawaiians, Samoans, certain parts of the Philippines, that's the tribe of Naphtali, the people that are down in South America, those so-called Latinos, the Aborigines, not those other guys, but the people that was there when they got there. Okay? These are the 12 tribes of Israel. That's Jacob. Israel is that one who has spent the time with the Most High, who has submitted to Hamashiach and realized who they are. You see, as we said before, regardless of what people, how they identify themselves and see themselves, there's three entities that will always see us as Jacob. The Most High, the devil, and the ruling powers of this earth. Now, people may say, no, I'm black. No, I'm a Mexican. No, I'm a Cherokee. You might call yourself that. But they know that you're not that. They the one gave us those names. So Jacob is that one, whether you identify yourself as that or not. Okay? Israel is the one who came to the understanding they're awakening who they are. They know they are not these bywords, and they have accepted the fact of who they are. Because that can only happen through an encounter with the Most High. You can't research this. You just can't discover this. This is a spiritual awakening. But the remnant is the one who has removed every area of their life of sin and weight from their life and became who the Most High said they need to be. Isaiah 10, verse 20.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel,
and
such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Most High, the Holy One of Israel, in truth.
In truth. So notice how I said that it was of Jacob that has escaped. They escaped the ways of the people that smote them, and they're standing on truth. And we talked about what that truth is. What? The law. Verse 21.
The remnant shall return.
The remnant shall return.
Even the remnant of Jacob unto the mighty Yah.
Right.
For through the people Israel has been as the sand of the sea.
So though the children of Israel is as the sand of the sea, because when you go into Hosea 1 and 10, it says that the children of Israel outnumber the sand of the sea. And in that place where they said they were not my people, in that same place it shall be said, they are the sons and the daughters of the Most High. That's what's going on right now. But though we be as the sand of the sea, go ahead.
Yet a remnant of them shall return.
Only a remnant is going to return. Because some of our people are not going to do what's necessary to make it. Let me give you another precept. We was over there in Isaiah 66. Let me show you what I'm talking about. There are going to be people, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to make it out of America. They're going to make it to the wilderness, knowing that they're Israelites, and they're still going to be disobedient. Let me show you instances of what's going to happen. That's a really good question. I got several, but we won't go through all that today. I just want to show you one instance. I'm going to talk about the rat, like sneaking behind there, eating the mouse. 66, 17. So Isaiah 66. Let's go to start at 15. We're going to start at verse 15 so you get the context of what's being said.
For behold, the Most High will come with fire and with chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire.
So there's a lot of Israelites out here saying that these chariots are going to come to rescue us. Now, these chariots is going to come during the day what they call the Battle of Armageddon. Because he's going to draw all the Gentiles there. They're going to try to take us down, and they're going to pay a severe cost for it. And the ones that survive will be given that opportunity, whether you want to be down or not. And we just read what happened to those who say, I don't want to do it. I ain't following no black man. Okay. You have that right. Okay. But look at what he said here in verse 16.
For by fire and by his sword will the will of the Most High plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Most High shall be many.
You see that? See, that sounds totally different than the white Jesus of Christianity coming back on it. They say he's coming back, we're going to run through living fields, and it's going to be a happy, wonderful time. That guy ain't coming back to talk at all. The lamb came first, the lion is coming back roaring. No talk, no grace, get down, lay down. And that's what Gentiles or Israelites. Starts with us. Verse 17.
They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree is in the midst, eating swine's flesh and the abomination, and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Most High.
Y'all see that? So there's going to be some of our people that's over there, probably just say perhaps we ain't ate in a couple of days. We was going through, it in the midst of the battle. Some of our lions got cut off. And they're going to be trying to hide behind a tree and eat swine. And the Most High is going to send fire from heaven. Now, when you go into Zechariah, he says he's going to run us under the rod. And that's going to go down from 1/3 to 10%. All of the rebels, everybody with their own agendas. I want to do this my way. I want to be a leader. My brothers tell me about these Walking Dead shows, all these little working shows where you got people hungry and starving, and you got domestic violence going on. There's people fighting, arguing. Well, they're gonna be doing the same thing, and they're gonna get took out. You're in the wilderness fighting for the kingdom, and you're there beating your wife. You think you're making it in? You slip around the corner trying to have another girl on the side. Think you're gonna make it in? No. Being disobedient, running off in the mouth. No. I'm gonna lead a rebellion. I think the women should have this. Fire from heaven. So the Most High ain't playing. When we get to this point, it's gonna be no grace, there'll be no talking, Torah or die. You know what I'm saying? For that, Torah or die. I said, don't get out of the line. So that's why I say it's Jacob to Israel to the remnant. Only the remnant is going to be the one that we can. So when we really see what's going on here, we understand we don't have a lot of time to be worried about what everybody else is doing. We got to be focusing on ourselves. As I said, this stuff on the news, all these things have absolutely nothing to do with you. Don't get caught up in that. All right? Any other questions? Good? All right. Well, tonight, this afternoon, we'd like to give all praise. We'd like to give all glory. We'd like to give all honor to our higher, by Hashem Yeshai, and His precious Ruach, for everything that took place here today. We pray and hope that this word was one that was inspiring. Pray and hope that this was encouraging. And we pray and hope that Israel finally learns. We always say that's Israel. He the Most High. Captivity. Never learns. So, as we always say, ladies and gentlemen, continue to be steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding to the work of the Most High. And we know that this thing is not going to be easy, but we can do it. We just got to trust Him. We got to stay with Him, okay? That's light at the end of the tunnel. We just got to stick together. We got to trust each other. We got to continue to walk in love, and we're going to make it. We're going to make it. All right? Let's close out the broadcast. We're going to use it.
What's up, Dabu? Yo, what you think about that beat right here? Yeah, sound like the council mix. We got a lot of music too. We got lines on the go. You know that?
I thought it was
You're real.
That's a lot of music.
Hey, I am not at home when I set up for no bed. Even with the rainbow, this was what the daddy made.
Shalom, baby. As you always say, ladies and gentlemen, continue to be steadfast, unmovable, always about to work the Most High. Love each and every one of you. Rock the die. Shalom. Don't be out your right.